Alright, we saw Midsommar.
Midsummer. Midsummer? Midsummer. You gotta say it like that. You gotta say it with a Swedish accent.
That was Swedish?
No, that was just me pronouncing it the way it's spelled. Midsummer.
That sounds very like Wisconsin-y.
Oh, it's midsummer, eh? No, it was bad. That was bad. Let's ignore that. Let's keep moving.
Midsommar. How did you feel about Midsommar?
I felt like it was a movie.
It was a movie.
It was a trip. Was it a good trip? Was it a bad trip?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. Do they know trips? Let's find out. I don't think that's a good trip, personally. I don't think that was a trip that was good for any of those characters. I mean, maybe it was for Danny at the end. I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism, I think, in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they're going on a trip, they take a lot of drugs and are on trips. You know?
Yeah, that's some Roland Emmerich deep
there's
stuff
a lot of
right there.
There's a lot of tripping. You know? There's, trips
Yeah, man, trips.
on our favorite rocket ships.
No, this is just getting weird.
So move through the sky.
It was an interesting movie.
To say the least.
Is this the spookiest movie you've seen?
I don't know. I was never spooked. I wouldn't call what I experienced spooked.
What would you call it?
Granted, I was a little numb throughout a decent portion of it. I don't know, like it was weird. I was more just like intrigued.
Intrigued. Okay.
I was, I guess, on the edge of my
Sheets.
seat a little bit. I mean, I don't even know that I was really tense. I don't know if that's just my way of experiencing these movies, or if it was the alcohol. But either way. What about you?
I didn't think of it. For about half of that movie, I was like having to remind myself to breathe. Through.
I just went like, oh no, a lot. Like when oh no, uh-oh, like when he's drinking that liquid and it's red, and I'm like, oh no, we know what that means. And then like when you see a bear, and then you see a bear on fire, and then you see a human in the bear, you're like, oh no. And then just yeah.
So why don't you try and distill the plot? Sum that up.
So there's these college kids, graduate kids. They're getting their like doctorates or whatever in fucking anthropology, and one of them's Swedish, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna take you all to my home community in Sweden, Jorga, right?
I thought it was Halva.
Holga. I don't remember. Anyway, they're going to this community, and he's like they're in the midsummer festivities. They do all kinds of funky rituals and all kinds of stuff. He's like, it's gonna be a good time to experience my culture, but then also they're going because one of them's gonna do his thesis on it. So they go, but there's this whole other kind of plot of the main character Danny. She's not an anthropology student. She's like psychology.
Yeah.
And she's dating Christian, who's in the group of dudes that are planning this Sweden trip. She's got some family issues going on.
Do you want to jump into those?
Maybe we can save that for a spoiler. I mean, like, it's in the beginning of the movie, but still, like...
Oh, I mean, there was obviously anything we say about any movie.
She's got a trauma going on.
I don't know if even that sums up what happened.
She's got a lot going on that is not good.
Ari Aster loves his people in grief.
She's dealing with grief, and Christian's kind of a shitty boyfriend.
My first thought is, after he climbed that mountain, he went to get his thesis.
Oh man, that was so he's kind of she's going through a lot, and he's trying to be supportive, but then at the same time he doesn't tell her about the Sweden trip until like the last minute. She finds out, and then she ends up going along. He invites her because he feels bad, so she goes, and then Christian, Swedish guy, dude from, I'm pretty sure he's in The Good Place. I think it's the only place I've seen it.
Oh, I thought it was Hosier.
From what?
I thought it was Hosier.
What is Hosier?
That guy.
What guy?
The Swedish guy.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Josh. I'm pretty sure he's in Good Place. The one that's doing the thesis.
Yeah.
And then Will fucking Poulter, the best actor on the planet.
What's Will Poulter been in?
Narnia.
Oh, he's in that third one. Oh,
Detroit.
Is he in Detroit?
Yeah, he's the bad white cop. Well, one of the bad white cops.
I know Will Poulter was
Black Mirror.
Was supposed to play. What episode of Black Mirror was he in?
Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Remember, he's the
I remember now.
The coder boy.
He's in The Revenant. Yeah, Will Poulter.
Will Poulter.
He was also originally supposed to play Pennywise in
Oh no!
And then he had to drop out.
Isn't he in the Killing of the Sacred Deer? Or am I?
It might have been him.
I think he is in it. There's him and the kid from Dunkirk. One of the kids from Dunkirk.
I think it's the kid from Dunkirk.
Well, he's in something else. Anyways, Will fucking Poulter. They go to Sweden and they go to this community that's like isolated, and the only thing they know about it is what the Swedish dude is telling them. I don't remember his name. It starts with a P.
That's Hosier.
Hosier.
That's what I'm calling him. He looked like Hosier.
Kind of. And they're in this community, and they're just a part of these rituals they're doing for Midsommar. And it's always light, pretty much. It only gets a little bit dark for like a couple hours, but so it's like always light. And they're just there in this community, isolated community, commune thing during these rituals, and they become a part of it. And shit gets progressively weirder, and there starts to be some conflict between the Americans, and then there's some conflict with the Swedish people, and it's just a lot of weird shit goes on, and that's Midsommar. Is that a decent synopsis?
Now we have to break it down. Can you break down Midsommar?
Do we want to get into the spoilers now that we're breaking it down?
Yeah, might as well.
Or should we talk about things generally more? I got fries. They're pretty good, but they're cold and nasty now.
Cold fries are okay. As long as they're not like refrigerator cold. Like,
yeah.
Room temperature is fine, I think. Same thing with room temperature pizza.
We get spongy.
So, might as well go into spoilers. Because some of the things I feel like you can't sum up without talking about directly.
Like the beginning.
You want to start with the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you know how to say the actress's last name? I don't know.
Florence Pugh?
Is it Pugh? I feel like it might be.
Yeah, it's Pugh.
I keep thinking Puckett. I don't know why.
That's Pugh. I know Pugh.
You know she's dating Zach Braff.
Who's Zach Braff again?
Scrubs guy. He's just an obnoxious douchebag. Also, she looks like Elizabeth Olsen.
She kind of does. What's she been at?
Elizabeth Olsen?
No.
Oh, the only thing I know of is she was in a movie earlier this year that was actually really well received. It has like a 90 on Metacritic. Called Fighting with My Family. It's a wrestling movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it has The Rock in it.
Yeah.
Nick Frost. Yeah, she was the main character in that. The thing got really well received. It's about wrestling.
I feel like I've seen her in something. She looks so familiar.
She looks like Elizabeth Olsen.
It might just be Elizabeth Olsen.
Were you thinking Avengers?
No, because she's younger than Elizabeth Olsen. I don't know, Elizabeth Olsen's pretty young too. Anywho, so her character, it starts with her.
She's like calling her boyfriend. She calls her parents, and you see like her parents in bed, right?
Uh-huh.
And like she
We're
leaves
not
a
picking
message.
up the phone.
Yeah, she leaves a message. Then she calls her boyfriend. He's kind of a massive asshole.
I wouldn't call him a massive asshole.
I would. Though.
Like,
he's very much a.
I don't think he's an intentional asshole. So that's what I would defer is like, there's people that like are trying to be shitty. I don't think he's trying to be shitty. I just think he's shitty. I just think he is. Anyways.
Will Poulter's a massive asshole.
Oh yeah. That's the only note I took down is Will Poulter is the worst.
I took down 3 notes. You want to know what 3?
What?
Bear. Yeah, Bear. No, I took 4. Bear. Funky fucking.
Oh my god.
Man in Bear. And this bear is on fire.
No. Bear. Funky fucking. Man in bear. Man in bear. Funky fucking.
Jesus. Oh. It's beautiful.
So.
Yeah, anyways.
She,
Yeah.
she's trying to get a hold of her sister. And because her sister had just left her a distressing email kind of saying goodbye. And
it's like the black is everywhere or something.
And then we find out that she's got like some mental illness. She's bipolar and stuff. So she's freaking out because she can't get a hold of her. She can't get a hold of her parents. So she calls her boyfriend, and he's like, "Don't worry. Like it's not anything different than what you usually deal with. She's just trying to get attention. And the more you give her attention, the more she's gonna do it." And she's like, "Yes, you're right. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it." So then it's him with his boys, and they're like, "You gotta stop dating this bitch." Oh, she's so clingy and needy, and like what she's calling you again. Like, you gotta end this shit, man. Also, fuck a bitch. That's kind of the things they would say.
That's pretty much how they are.
And then meanwhile, she's like on the phone with her friend, like talking about how she feels guilty for being this, for needing this much support from him, and she's afraid she's scaring him away. And then also talking about how she's afraid about her sister. Then he gets another phone call at the bar, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? She's fucking calling again." And then he's like, "I'm taking this," and they're like kind of being douchey to him, and he's like, "I'm gonna take this," and then he picks up the phone, and it's just her sobbing, just
like that scream,
just
song.
wailing. And then you find out what happens.
And it builds up to it in a certain way. You know what? You want to go shot by shot because that's really the only way.
Man. So it's like in the car. Is that how it starts?
Yeah, it's in the car in the garage.
In the car in the garage, and then you see a fireman, and
Turns the key off.
he turns the key off the car, and
Goes to another car.
the car's like all shut up. Yeah, the other car, and the cars were all shut up and plugged up, and like got tape and stuff on them, and then a hose attached to the muffler. Exhaust thing.
We got him. He got that little dick truck.
Little pulled over dick truck. And
yeah. There's a hose, and then they go inside the house. And you see the hose on the stairs,
and it just runs all the way up.
all the way up the stairs.
All the way upstairs.
And then it splits into two hoses.
And the first hose that shows goes into the parents' room, and they're lying in bed,
Sealed.
and and the door's like all sealed up, and they open it and they go in, and so now you know why the parents were lying in bed not picking up the phone. And then it shows the other hose going straight to the room. The sister's lying on the ground with the hose attached to her mouth, and it's pretty grisly.
She's like purple.
Yeah, she's purple. There's like liquids all down her chest. That's not a good way to go, by the way.
This is like
what that does to you is kind of terrifying. Like it's like your body implodes, kind of. It's the insides of your body. So that's a great cheery note to start the movie on.
This is like what, a 10-minute sequence?
Yeah.
15?
Well, that whole sequence, is pretty long.
And then it cuts to snow, and then the titles.
Yeah, A24 presents Midsommar, and you're like, great. This is gonna be a fun time. So then there's a period, of her grieving and him trying to support her, but not being the best about it.
Kind of a major asshole.
Yeah, and he's kind of a major asshole. He's like, I'm gonna go to this is a while after it happens, but he's like, I'm gonna go to the party. I'll be right back. You keep sleeping. And she's like, I'll go with you. And then at that party is how she finds out that they've been planning this trip to Sweden. And he never really told her. He mentioned wanting to go to Sweden to her, but he never actually said, hey, this is actually going to happen.
Did he actually, do you think he actually mentioned it to her?
I mean, I feel like the way she said it was like, he just like, hey, it would be cool to go to Sweden.
I got the impression that like, he's almost kind of like gaslighting her a little bit. Like, he didn't even bring it up. He's just like, oh, I brought it up. You just forgot.
Yeah.
And so she's just so submissive to everything about it, and she's just like, oh, you're probably right. That's what I got out of it.
I feel like he may have mentioned it very like loosely, briefly at some point, like just talking with the friends or something.
Watching the Travel Channel. Sweden, it'd be cool to go there one day.
That was such a weird, awkward scene too. So after that, they have a fight about it. And he's kind of a dick about it, and she's being way too supportive about it. And then he goes. Next scene is he goes to he's chilling with his boys, and he's like, "Yo, I invited Danny here. She's coming up now." He's like, "Oh, by the way, I invited her to go with us to Sweden, but she's not gonna go." Like, well, she says she's gonna go, but she's not gonna go. Like. Oh, by the way, like it was y'all's idea to invite her and all that, but he keeps saying like she's not gonna go.
Yeah.
That was a weird scene.
And she's like already there.
Yeah.
She's like outside the door. He's leaving her waiting while he does this.
So then he's talking. She talks with the Swedish dude a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's this community and stuff." Oh, by the way, my parents also died. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And then she freaks out and runs away and cries in the bathroom. And then it cuts to her crying on the plane. She's going to Sweden. They're going to Sweden. So, do you want to like keep going like plot by plot, or?
I mean, might as well.
Because like the main thing, there was just about how it starts. Because that was a beginning to a movie.
Yeah.
Where is Ari Aster from?
I think he's American.
American?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like this weird little.
I was wondering if he was Swedish, if that was...
Well, if he is, he's got a perfectly good accent. Like, you can't tell.
I've never seen him. So the first part is just kind of like dread of this thing that happened to her, and then turns in, so like kind of like the whole thing throughout the movie is her still like dealing with this and grieving, but also seeing all of this really messed up shit, and just everyone just kind of loses their mind. Mainly just her and Christian they're the only ones that get the opportunity to lose their minds. Everyone else, their minds get lost for them.
Well, it's like this little itty bitty Swedish community. Everyone's wearing white, flowing things, and there's flowers everywhere.
They're wearing flowers.
They're wearing flowers. They are flowers.
Yeah, there's some like annihilation shit. There's a lot of drug use too, so it's like sometimes it's like, is that really happening, or is this a bad trip?
Did you notice like what was happening whenever they took drugs? Like the background was just wavy.
Yeah, everything
There'd be like a face,
which was kind of like annihilation too.
That was one of the most accurate things I've seen of drugs. Like, it's still there, but it's like a little wavy. The scene where she looks in the mirror.
Yeah.
She's on drugs and she sees, like, her face is like a pig or something.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the face behind her. She keeps seeing her parents and her sister too. Will Poulter's character sucks so much, but in that one scene where they just did like mushrooms or something, and that was hilarious. He's like, why is it still so bright? It should be dark. Oh, this is not good. And he's just like freaking out about everything. He's like, oh, there's a new person coming. I can have new people right now. Everyone lay down with me. Why aren't you laying down? Lay down with me. That's me on drugs, probably.
I feel more like you'd be John Mulaney on drugs. You just want to go into everything about Will Poulter, get him out of the way, so we don't have to talk about him.
He's the biggest of the dude bros. He's the biggest of the like, yo, this bitch. She's really killing our ride. What? She's not gonna do the drugs with us now? Well, we can't. You can't do the drugs later. Then we'll all be doing drugs at different times. We can't have that. Yeah, that's basically his character. Oh, and he's an idiot, and he wants to fuck everyone. And then this girl is like, "Hey, come with me," and he's like, "All right," and that's how he gets it, fucker.
You don't see him die. He's the only one. He's one of the ones you don't see get killed.
You just see someone wearing his face.
Yeah. And his clothes.
Oh my god. All right, that's jumping right into the weird shit.
You just want to jump into the weird shit.
So I think the beginning of the weird shit is, Swedish dude is kind of more and more kind of educating them about this culture, and part of this.
Yeah.
So the weird shit starts when there's this ritual going on. Like, I mean, it's a little weird.
Everything's a little weird.
There's like some like little things you notice about, but like when it starts to really be like, oh, they need to leave now, is during this ritual thing. They're having a meal, a dinner thing, and there's these two like old people. Oh, so before that, the night before that, like they're asking, so what's going to go on tomorrow? And Swedish dude just says this like term for what the ritual is or whatever the festival thing is, and no one knows what the fuck that is except for Josh, who kind of knows a little bit more.
He's he's an asshole in that scene.
Yeah.
You warn people of that shit.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, is that thing? And he's like, yeah, and they're like, what is it? Is it gonna be scary? What is it? And they're not saying anything. So then during this ritual meal thing, there's like two old people are led out to like the head of the table, and Josh looks at Swedish dude and is like, are they the ones? Is it them? And he's like, yeah. and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, yeah, they are, I think, gonna kill these old people because they've reached their age, they're 74. So there's just this weird meal thing happens, and then it cuts to them standing by this like cliff area, and everyone is standing like down at the base of it, and they're like singing and chanting and whatnot, and no one knows what the hell's going on. And then you just see like Josh and the Swedish guy are like talking a little bit, and they're just staring up at this cliff and then singing and chanting, and then the two old people are let out, or it starts with just the old woman, and she stands at the edge of the cliff, and then Danny starts panicking because she's like, uh-oh, I know what's going to happen. Old lady jumps off the cliff onto the stone. She dead. And everyone's like, fuck, what the shit? All of the Americans, and then there's these two English people, because Swedish dude that they're friends with, and then there's this other Swedish dude that went to school in London or something. They all brought some foreigners along for this ritual, which is always suspicious. So they're like freaking out, and then old dude comes up, and they're like, oh no, not old dude too. Old dude jumps off, but he doesn't hit the rock quite as effectively as the woman did. He lands on his legs to the side of the rock. He's still alive. His legs are fucked up. He's still alive. So, and like during this, like all standing in like the crowd chanting, you see this dude with a hammer, and you're like this giant wooden mallet hammer thing. You're like, that's not a good sign. So the dude with the hammer and then a few other people walk up to the old guy, and then they all take turns smashing his head in. So that's the first big red flag. And it just like fucking breaks Danny. She's just like frozen. Jack, or I keep wanting to call him Jack, that's the actor. Christian's like, what the fuck, man? But he's like really kind of playing it up, and he doesn't really seem like he's that bothered by it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I could never pick up what the fuck was going on with him. Like, I think he was just so selfish and concerned with his own shit that he didn't really care about Danny that much and what was going on with her, and didn't care about him screwing over his friend doing the same thesis, and didn't really care. That shit was really weird.
He was Seth Rogen light, is what I kept calling him, because he kind of looks like Seth Rogen.
So yeah, so that's the conflict between the Americans. They start to turn on each other a little bit, because first thing is between Danny and him, he's, a shitty boyfriend. He doesn't remember that it's her birthday. Swedish guy remembers, though.
Oh, he remembers.
And he's coming in to steal your girl. Not really. But,
I mean, there's a scene later on that I think.
Well, like, I don't know that he was trying to steal that girl, or if he was just trying to get her to be a part of this community and never leave. I don't know. Maybe that's a thought. And then also, so the one dude, Josh, is doing his thesis on this thing, and Christian doesn't know what he wants to do his thesis on yet. So he's like, I'm gonna do it on this community also. And Josh is like, what the fuck, dude? This is my thing. You can't just do it on my thing, you lazy asshole. And then they kind of fight about it, but then they kind of are forced to both do it and kind of collab, but neither of them want to really collab because they hate each other now. So they kind of have a falling out, but that doesn't really go anywhere because shit starts to happen.
Yeah, it starts to happen.
Yeah, what's the next weird thing that happens? I mean, I think just people disappearing.
Well,
oh.
the British one.
Well, that, and so remember that interesting blanket that had some art on it that the British couple see? And it shows some, like, you remember the blanket I'm talking about?
I think towards the beginning.
Yeah, towards the beginning of there's all this art of like brown haired people and then like blonde haired people. So I'm guessing it's like brown haired people symbolize like the foreigners.
Yeah.
And there's some weird shit where seducing a brown haired person and menstrual blood in his drink, and then he drinks the drink, and then they are they're doing it.
Oh, I didn't notice that part.
And then it shows a brown-haired person more or less being sacrificed in that blanket. So you start to see bits of that play out, for one thing. So people start disappearing. That's a weird
the British
thing.
couple first. Well, the dude first.
Yeah, so the British couple are... Oh, I just spilled that. They're the ones that are most disturbed by the people jumping off cliffs thing. So they're like trying to get the fuck out of there, and they're gonna go leave together. But then she finds out, the girl finds out that he had left without her. The Swedish dude, like one of the Swedish old dudes, is telling her this, and he's like, there was only room in the truck for one person, so he's going to the train station, and then the truck's going to come back for you, and you'll meet him there. And she's like, no, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have left me like that. He's like, there was only room in the car for one, and they only had so much time, so they didn't want to waste the time. So then he disappears. The Will Poulter disappears because he goes with that girl, and then he doesn't come back. But before we get to that, all while this is going on, there's some weird shit happening with this redhead girl who apparently has a thing for Christian, and she puts this like love stone thing like under his bed that's supposed to cast a little spell on him, and then they ask about that, and he's like, oh, so she's like old enough now to do it, so she's selecting a mate. And he's like, usually they pick, foreigners, because, inbreeding. So there's that weird shit going on. And then Josh is, like, talking to some of the people in the community, trying to figure out more about, this culture. And one of the things is that, like, one of the elder dudes shows him, like, their scripture, their sacred text or whatever. And, like, part of it's been written a long time ago, but then part of it's still being written. And it's being written by this one dude in the community that is disabled, but you find out, like, he tells him, like, oh, like, he's a product of inbreeding. They purposefully inbreed to make someone that's got a lot of disabilities because they're not clouded by, guess what normal people are clouded by. So that way they can be channeled, they can be used by the god or whatever. So he like draws and paints and stuff in this scripture thing. So Josh wants to take pictures of it and like read it and stuff, and he's like, no, you can't do that, absolutely not, no. So then he sneaks out one night and goes into the like little temple thing where they keep it, and he's like in there taking pictures of it, and then he thinks he sees Will Poulter. He's like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? You can't be in here. We're not allowed to be in here. It's not Will Poulter. It's someone wearing Will Poulter's clothes and his face, like a skin mask. And then Josh gets hit over the head with a mallet, and you see the skin face.
A lot of killings in that movie, but no stabbings.
Nope, no stabbings.
You think there might be a stabbing because somebody put scissors under a baby's pillow.
Yes.
That can't do nothing. I just remember that.
Yes, I remember. I kept looking at you like, no, please don't, no. Well, so like she keeps hearing the baby crying at sleep. I was like, is there a point where you don't hear the baby cry anymore? Is that what that means? But no, I don't think that's a thing. So is there anything else weird up to that point that I'm forgetting? Like that's notable?
Not right away. It's still It's just starting to trickle into the really weird.
Yeah.
They do drugs again.
Oh yeah. So following that, they're like talking about how some people are missing. Like Simon's missing. That's the British dude. Will Poulter's missing and Josh is missing, and they're all like, "Oh, we don't know what at all this is about." Oh, and something's been stolen.
The girl's been missing. The other.
Yeah, the other.
Connie, I think.
Yeah, the girl's missing, and this like sacred artifact or whatever stolen, and they're like, and fucking asshole Christians like, yo, dude, I know this looks bad. We have nothing to do with them. We're not even friends with them, really. If they did this, and he's like, I don't know where he is, nor do I really care to know. Like, he could be dead for all I know. I wouldn't care. So they're eating this other meal thing, and things are really awkward and tense between like all of them, like especially him and Danny.
Well, remember before? It's the only reason I brought up why the British guy, like, what, that he went missing before the girl, is because she's telling him about it, and she looked about the guy supposedly leaving his girlfriend there, and she's like, I could see you doing that.
She said I could see you doing that, and she's extra mad at him because she like kind of finds out that like, oh, he's working too. Like he didn't tell me anything about him doing his thesis on this too, and so she finds out just organically because he's not telling her shit or like really caring about her at all and just kind of leaving her alone now. So during that thing though is when another one of the things comes back from that blanket. He takes a bite out of this like pie thing that they were making. Oh, and you see the redhead girl when they're making it, she like kind of takes one to herself and like smiles or something, does something weird with it, and you don't know. So then he's eating it and he pulls out a hair, and it looks kind of like a pubic hair, and it's red. It's a red pubic hair. And then the camera kind of cuts over, and they're like, "Ew, what the fuck? There's a pubic hair in your thing." And he's like, "That's just a hair. It's fine." And the camera kind of cuts up to her, the redhead girl, sitting like away from her, just staring at him. And then it kind of shows his drink, and it's red. His drink is red, and then it kind of shows the other people's drinks, and they're like all yellow. And you're like, "Oh no, that blanket." Oh.
I didn't really pay that close attention to the blanket, so I didn't.
Yeah, during that scene, I was just like, "Oh no, oh, oh, there's."
Yeah, you kept reacting to that glass, and I was like, "What?"
Oh no. So that's weird. And then that's when they start doing drugs again. I guess that's the
You
next.
get to see a face in the trees.
Yeah.
That one flower on her hat is like pulsating.
Yeah. So she gets roped into this. This dance competition basically, and they all drink this drink beforehand that's got some kind of hallucinogenic drug in it, probably. It's got something in it.
That helped her stamina, the woman says.
Yeah, but also like they start getting weird, and then he is asked to go into this room with like this house of this like this kind of matriarch.
Well, before that, they're at a table. Because remember, he's sitting there watching when she's doing the dance.
No, so he talks to her and then he leaves and then he goes sits down and she's dancing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's doing yeah. So he talks to her and she's basically like, "Yo, what do you think of this redhead girl, huh?" And he's like, "What the fuck do you mean? What do I think about her?" And she's like, "She's chosen you to do it. She wants you to mate with her or whatever." And he's like, "Uh-huh." And I don't remember what all they say. Because I think he leaves. And then he goes sits down with her. So there's this like dance competition thing. kind of, so like they're all dancing a circle, and whenever like two people like bump into each other and like fall, they get knocked out. And she's doing really good, Danny, and he's watching her, and she's doing really good and happy about it. And she like looks over at him like, "Hey, honey, I'm doing great," and he doesn't give a shit. He's freaking out because he's got to fuck this redhead girl apparently. And she's like gets mad, but she's still dancing, and it gets a little more trippy. She's like starts to kind of lose a little bit, and then she wins the dance, which means she's the chosen one.
She's the May Queen.
She's the May Queen. So then she's kind of thrust off into May Queen duties. They like throwing flowers all over her and stuff, and they're putting her on this like they hold out this like wooden thing for her to stand on, and they like carry her away, and they take her to this table and stuff and have her sit down at the head of it, and they're like kind of all following her lead and doing as she does because she's the chosen May Queen woman lady. And also, and then while Christian is watching her doing the dancing and stuff, this woman comes up to her and gives him that same drink, I think, or maybe it was a different. He gives her the start tripping acid drink, and he drinks it reluctantly. So while this May Queen stuff's going on, he's just kind of following along, just kind of like tripping balls, watching her, being very confused, and they're at this like dinner table thing eating. So like it shows the table before they go to it, and there's flies all over it, and it looks like it's like rotten food and stuff. But when they're at the table sitting and eating, it doesn't look like that. Oh. So I wonder it's because they're all, high on life. So then they like take her away from the table and whatnot, and they take her somewhere else to do May Queen stuff, and he's still sitting there, and then this like flower girl like leaves a trail of flowers to this other building.
Before I get to this is where I wrote down funky fucking.
So she's being taken away and is tripping and with all these girls. Meanwhile, he knows where he's going.
Oh, he knows.
Oh, he knows where he's going. He follows the flowers, goes in the room, and
are you gonna be able to get this?
This funky fucking is a good description. So there's this mating ritual.
The girl's laid out on like, it looks like a mini forest.
Yeah.
And like plants and stuff.
This like 18-year-old girl.
Like a suckling pig.
Which who knows if she's even supposed to be 18 or just a sexually mature girl.
Yeah.
Just like sexually mature. Spread out.
That's the word.
And there's surrounded by other women of this community. I'm assuming they're like other women who have bear children for and this ritual, because they're all older. Like
and then he gets down to the fucking.
And there's funky funkin', and it's fucking weird.
Well, it gets better because like every time she takes a breath or moans, they take a breath or moan.
And so everything's kind of in sync there. Meanwhile, with girl, they're doing weird stuff, and she starts to be like, "What's going on in there?" And she's hearing stuff, and they're like, don't go over there. And she's like, what's going on over there? So she walks up, like slowly, just hears the weird chanting, moaning stuff going on in there, and then she just kind of reluctantly looks through the keyhole, and then starts freaking out and running away, and like all the girls kind of take her back to where her bed is and stuff, and
she starts
screaming, wailing, and they start screaming, wailing in sync with her. So there's all this screaming, wailing going on, and there, and then there's all this weird chanting, moaning, screaming, wailing going on in there, and it's just shit's weird.
And then
so they finish. the mating ritual.
There's a lot of weird shit in that, but you have to find out for yourself. Yeah, he finishes, and then he runs out.
Is that not the weirdest fucking thing?
Also, I'm pretty sure there was a mother with like 2 younger girls sitting behind us, because I kept hearing like laughing and like
Oh, they were
coughing
laughing.
sounds that sounded like way younger than should be at this movie.
Well, they were laughing at the mating thing.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck? Just laughing. So they left shortly after that, and I don't think they came back.
Yeah,
'Cause
what
I think
scene was it?
I think the woman knew the error of her ways of bringing her daughters there or whatever.
I'm trying to remember what scene they left in.
I think it was. I think it was after the mating scene, because I think things kind of calmed, like it was quiet when they left.
I remember hearing some gasp after that too.
Yeah.
So there was some weird thing. Maybe I'll remember when we get to it in the plot. Okay, so the mating ritual. He runs out of there.
Naked, by the way, flopping, and everything.
Would you rather watch that scene again or the one from Rona?
I forgot about that. The Roma seemed shorter.
But well, he does at one point just grab all his genitals with his hand and run around like that.
So he's like freaking out.
He runs into a shed.
Well, so first he kind of runs back over to where the beds are,
But
and he hears the fucking weird wailing going on there. He's like, nope. And then he runs another direction, and there's a bunch of people. He's like, nope. And then he runs into the shed.
And inside the shed is that British dude. No. First he sees Josh's foot in the garden.
Yes. He sees a foot sticking up out of the ground, which we know to be Josh's.
Then
And he's like, nope. And then he runs into the shed.
and in the shed is the British dude who is flailed open, had his eyes taken out and flowers put in. And you want to know the best part? He's still alive. Because he's flailed open, his lungs are up on hooks, and they're
still breathing. And it's like this hen house. Like there's a bunch of chickens.
yeah, there's chickens in there.
And there's chickens like there's one chicken on him, the British dude. So that's weird.
I think that's when they left.
And then he turns around. Yeah, I think it may have been. He turns around and gets like
Dusted.
Someone dusts him in the face,
Pocket sand.
and he passes out.
Then
I don't really know what happened from that point on.
he wakes up. There's the woman in his face. She's like, you can't speak, you can't move. And he's in a wheelchair.
So this seems to be kind of the grand finale of this
And,
festival thing.
and Danny's just covered completely in flowers. And so they talk a little bit more about the festival, what the festival is, and that they have to have 9 sacrifices. So they had the 2 old people, the 4 foreigners, 2 people volunteered, so they need 2 more sacrifices. So since Danny's the May Queen, she gets to pick between a villager and a foreigner. There's only one foreigner left, Christian. He's rolled out in the wheelchair and put next to this guy, and she's got to pick. And then it cuts to some people opening the bear we saw earlier.
Oh yeah, there's at one point a bear in a cage, and they're like, "Are we just not going to talk about the bear in the cage?" And he's like, "What? It's a bear." Then that's the last.
And then they're cutting open the bear. He shows them how to remove the intestines and all that. And you see them dumping them out into a bucket, and there's Christian. Then they pick Christian up, and they put Christian inside the bear. Then Christian's inside the bear in this like triangle-shaped house, shed building.
And he's in the center of it.
Yeah, you want to.
And you see, ritual stuff's going on. Danny and like all of them are like sitting outside of it, and people start carrying in the like kind of skin dolls of the foreigners.
But some of them are actual bodies, and some, like, for Mark, Will Poulter's character, it's his face on a scarecrow.
Yeah.
Josh, it's like his actual body.
And they start carrying them in and setting them down. And then the two volunteers go in and then they sit down. And then people bring torches. And then they burn it down. They start lighting it up. You see the corpses of the foreigners light up. And all while, like, it occasionally cuts to the people in the crowd outside watching, especially Danny watching, and they're like all singing and chanting and stuff, and she's just frozen, sitting there, staring directly at the bear. And then the volunteers kind of look at each other and they're like smile or whatever, and then one of them starts to catch on fire and starts screaming in agony.
And all the townspeople scream.
And then all the townspeople scream. And then just, you know, the whole thing goes
Danny's, at one point she's walking around with this gigantic flower suit.
Yeah.
So it's like a blob of flowers in a head, walking around screaming and wailing.
And she's still kind of drugged, like, I'm guessing.
Then it goes back
She's
in
still
there,
out of it.
and you see Christian's all burned up. He's dead.
It's all gone.
Then it cuts back to her, and she's smiling.
Well, so everyone around is like freaking out and like doing this weird, like, kind of satanic, like demonic, like demon-possessed, like movements, like jumping around, fucking weird shit, and she's just kind of still. And then
She starts to smile.
And then that's Midsommar.
It ends right there.
So, what did you think about Midsommar?
It's a movie.
How was your experience of it?
It was interesting. About halfway through, I was able to start breathing again.
That's good. Yeah, there were a lot of points where you were like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. My experience was pretty chill, honestly.
Pretty chill. You like that apple
like-
cider?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was just kind of more, like I said, I don't think I was ever like, I never found it scary. I was never like, had a big sense of like fear or dread. Just more of like weirded out, I think would be a better way to say it. Like, I was just like, oh no, no. Because like, I feel like most everything is pretty well like telegraphed. Like, you know where it's going for the most part. And it's a slow builds to all of it, and it's a very slow movie. But like, I was still like super enthralled though. But I don't think I would say it was scary to me.
Yeah.
I was like super like, I was in it though.
How did you feel? Like, what's your feelings on the movie?
On the movie,
It's like,
I think I liked it. It's hard to now say you like something like this, you know, like, or you enjoyed it, you know, but like, it was an experience.
is it one of the better movies you've seen this year?
I think maybe, yeah. I think it was really good for what it was doing.
It or Us?
Us, I think, had a lot more problems. Like, I can't think of something to point out as like a flaw with this movie. Like, I don't know. Like, it was really well made, I think. It's also like cool to have like a kind of horror movie that's like, it's bright the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's so colorful and
It's a very vibrant.
like weird, trippy. Yeah. What'd you think?
I thought it was very, very good. I liked it a lot.
Is it too soon for you to say?
Yeah, it's a little too soon to like rank it. And I watched. You still haven't seen Hereditary.
Yep, I haven't seen it. Well, how would you say they're different as far as like
Hereditary
what they're
is
doing?
darker.
Yeah.
Hereditary, like, I don't know. This was you most cathartic breakup movie you'll ever see.
Yeah, I looked at Parker at one point. I was like, the real horror of this movie is this failing relationship. I don't even know if you would call it failing, because it's like I don't. It's already dead. Like, he sucks. She needs someone that doesn't suck.
She needs a family.
She needs a family, and she found it, I guess. Oh yeah, so
they tell her she's.
So there's this other thing like going on of like the Swedish dude's kind of like being sweet to her, and like this whole time he's like, happy birthday. And he like forgot about it. His birthday. He's like, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. And he kind of act like he cares about her more. And then he keeps talking about how like it's like I know after the thing happens with the dudes, the old people killing themselves, and she's freaking out. He's like trying to calm her down, and he's like I know what you're going through. Like I also lost my family. My parents died in a house fire.
I was an orphan.
And so I was an orphan. So he's like, I really, really know what you're going through. But he's like, I found, a family. It's like, I know what you're going through, but I never, felt that loss because, like, I had a family, like, and I had a family in this community. And he's like, I want you to see that and be a part of it and stuff. So she becomes a part of it. She becomes the May Queen. And he's like, yeah, you're a part of the family now. And they're like, yeah, you're part of the family. And then at the end, maybe she is.
And they're all like, oh, you're one of us now. And yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff in this movie.
His parents died in a house fire, and her boyfriend died in a house fire of sorts.
We need a forest fire.
Oh, and like when weird shit goes on, and like weird drug shit goes on, during all that part, she keeps seeing her family, her dead family, like in the grisly, like how they died. She keeps seeing her dead family. That was an experience, though.
Is it?
I think it was probably good that I was drinking. I don't know, like. I mean, good for me, because like I would probably have been more nervous throughout it.
You think you would have felt more fear?
Maybe. Even then, though, I don't know. Like that's why I say it's hard for me to say if just that kind of thing doesn't scare me as much, or if it was the alcohol, or a combination of the two. That kind of mellowed me out a little more. So I was pretty chill throughout it. Yeah.
It's very solid. Like I can't think of
there's not like I don't know that this is a movie I'm gonna necessarily want to watch again like right away. Like
do you think you'd ever want to watch it again?
I don't think it would be fun to experience it with someone else for the first time. So
which is more baffling and what the fuck, it or House?
House for sure, because nothing in House makes sense. And this, you're like, oh, yeah, weird community. I like doing weird, like pagan rituals. Yeah, sure.
now you have to watch Hereditary and get back to me.
Yeah. So I feel like that one, and what I know of it, that one's actually gonna put fear in the heart of this.
What do you know of Hereditary?
I've just seen some things. Like I've seen like some disturbing. I don't know anything about it really other than the family. Okay. I watched a trailer. I watched a trailer for it. So I've seen some of the horror stuff of it, like weird bodies doing weird things, like people freaking out,
shooting fireworks.
What was it at the tent?
They're shooting
like accidentally shot a firework. I feel like that one's gonna probably disturb me more. Maybe I'll watch it tonight if my internet's working.
Yeah, you should definitely.
Should I drink during it?
No, I would be more sober.
Get the full experience.
So, that's Midsommar. This is one of the movies I was looking forward to.
Yeah.
The most. What do you? How do you? You think is gonna hold? As of now, would it be on your top of the year list?
Probably. Like, it's definitely I think the most solid experience I've had this year. It's I think it's certainly going to be the most memorable movie I see, maybe even all year. But like, what I've seen so far, that's definitely going to be the most memorable. Because like we haven't really seen any good movies this year, have we?
I mean, Us wasn't bad.
Okay, yeah, Us. Booksmart was pretty good. But other than that, we saw yesterday, which is not great. Godzilla, which is, it is what it is. You saw Aladdin. I saw Avengers.
I've also seen Avengers.
Yeah.
Avengers is not going to be. No, Avengers is definitely not going to be on my.
I don't know what remaining movie for this year that we know about that I'm the most excited about.
Let's go through.
I'm definitely intrigued by Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's Crawl.
Oh yeah, I looked at lyrics schedule.
Ooh, it's the same weekend as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but The Last Black Man in San Francisco. That's supposed to be really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it reviewed well?
Oh,
they're showing Rocket Man 2 if we want to catch that. Which are theaters still showing Rocket Man? I feel like
I think Frank's is.
maybe. So if you want to catch Rocket Man, we can maybe do it lyric. Because that's supposed to be good. Do you care much about Elton John? Like,
No.
Does his music? See, that's the thing with me. I don't know many Elton John songs, and the music doesn't. Really...
Elton John. I'm a Bowie person.
Yeah. So yeah, what's left for the year?
We have The Farewell.
Oh yes, and which we saw a trailer for at Regal, so maybe that means they're gonna show it.
I'm hoping, because that is supposed to be really good.
Yeah. Which is funny. Another kind of person who's mostly just done comedy is in a serious
is that what
indie A24 movie.
Florence. Is that what Florence is?
Pugh.
Yeah, is that what she from comedy?
I have no idea. I don't know who she is.
She was really good.
Yeah, she was.
A lot of people talk about Toni Collette for Hereditary, but
yeah, I guess to talk about Midsommar a little more, she was very, very good in it. Dude, Christian, he was good, but there was times where his delivery felt bad to me, but I think that was intentional. It was for example, when he was talking to the elder guy, oh, we don't that was that was the character acting kind of. But I don't know, I feel like he was not as good as she was. I mean, granted, she was the star of the show, but I feel like he wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, she was. She was really good.
I guess he was good at being an unintentional asshole that turns into a kind of more asshole. He gets assholey the longer it goes. More and more assholey the longer it goes.
What do you think about? You want to see Will Poulter in more things? I know you just love him.
Is he in something else this year?
Probably. He seems to pop up. Just to remind you, he still exists.
Another horror movie with Toni Collette this year, Knives Out. Isn't that this year? Is it holiday?
That's not a horror movie.
Well, not a horror movie. I meant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie. It's a whodunit movie. Ryan Johnson's movie. We just got a trailer for it this week. With a big old cast: Daniel Craig, Toni Collette, I said, Chris Evans. Who else? Ana de Armas. Lots of people in that movie.
Chris Evans is in
Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, is it Chris Evans?
Chris Evans, Daniel. We went over Daniel Craig, right?
Daniel Craig. Oh, Lakeith Stanfield's in it too.
Yeah.
Keith Stanfield and Daniel Craig are the detectives. So that could be good. I could also see it being pretty average, but we'll see.
What else is coming out this year? I don't remember.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's soon. That's like really soon, isn't it?
Okay. The Art of Self-Defense. That probably won't come here. That's July 12th.
Yeah, that looks good.
The Farewell is also July 12th. July 26th is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Skin. August 2nd is Hobbs and Shaw. Them That Follow. The Nightingale. That's supposed to be a really messed up horror movie. And August is The Kitchen. That's that movie. It's got Elizabeth Moss in it, and McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, yeah.
Blinded by the Light, Yesterday 2.0. Where'd You Go, Bernadette? September is It, Chapter 2. The Goldfinch, Ad Astra, Rambo, Last Blood. You're gonna be drinking of that.
Ad Astra looks like he could either be really good or
Not.
yeah.
Downton Abbey.
Oh, man, that's the movie of
The Report, starring our boy Adam Driver. The Curtain War.
Still gotta see Dead Don't Die at some point.
Joker, Gemini Man.
Two good ones.
Pain and Glory, starring Antonio Banderas. Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, won the big prize at Cannes. It comes out in October. Then there's Zombieland. Doctor Sleep. The Good Liar. That movie with Tom Hanks is Mr. Rogers. Knives Out. Then Star Wars. And then Cats. And then Little Women.
Dicks Out. Sorry. Just every time Knives Out, I see that, I'm just like, Ryan. Dicks Out.
For Harambe.
There's a scene in Midsommar where Will Poulter pees on this like ancient ancestral tree, and the Swedish dude starts yelling at him. He's like, "Put your disgusting dick away," but in Swedish. It's a good scene.
So
That was a movie that I saw. Did you see it?
I think I saw it. Yeah. So, on the arbitrary rating scale, Midsommar.
I got this. Midsommar gets 4.75 bad mushroom trips out of 5 bear taxidermized bears on fire.
I give it 4.5 girls with hoses taped to their mouths that have car exhaust coming
Jesus
out.
Christ.
Out of 5.
That's the one you went with, huh?
5 funky fuckins.
Oh, funky fuck.